but it's got to have those little eyes on it that wiggle when you move it. So that way it has some animation.
Yeah.
So
I'd like putting googly eyes on a steaming turd.
I think we should. So seriously.
Hello and welcome back to the Last Place Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm Ethan, as always, joined by Ryan and Josh, and a very special guest today, the champ. The champ is back. The champ is here.
The champ is here.
The champ is not John Cena. It's Paul Traver.
You guys are terrible. It's so funny. That was such a long time ago. That's
it's
okay.
only been a couple months.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like a long time ago.
Yeah. Yep.
That's all
But
good.
you are
It's
still, in
good to
fact,
be
the
on here.
champ.
Yeah.
And we're glad you're with us.
It's been too long since you last
Well,
been on the show.
I'm looking forward to going deep into the playoffs this year, if not just taking the crown again. So
Okay. Well, and that's what we're here to talk about.
Okay.
So Paul
Yep.
is going to explain to us how he's going to be maneuvering two wide receivers outside of the top 20 into a playoff team. So we're excited to talk about that today.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
Josh, why don't you kick us off, man?
Alrighty. So basically, there are a crap ton of receivers that we have to talk about. So I'm just going to kind of list the top 20, and then we're going to kind of go in depth into all the receivers that we want to talk about. So obviously, from 1 to 20, Cooper Kupp, Devos Samuel, Devonta Adams, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Tyreek Hill, Stefan Diggs, Deontay Johnson, Hunter Renfrow, Clemson hero himself, Mike Evans, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Tyler Lockett, Jalen Waddle, CeeDee Lamb, Chris Godwin, DK Metcalf, Brandon Cooks, Michael Pittman, and DJ Moore. And that is our top 20 based on our league point settings. So, gentlemen, who wants to go first?
Oh, me, of course. It's
Oh,
got to
yeah.
be Team Cooper Kupp. Come on.
Team Cooper Kupp.
So, Cup this Chubb, we went as far as we could. Unfortunately, Paul had 4 running backs that all wanted to score 30 points for no reason. But I mean, Cooper Kupp was a superstar last year. I mean, there's really no other way to put it. Like he was the do it all for the Rams. He was the love the game route guy. He was the outside guy, the inside guy.
He was the everything.
Yeah, he was the everything.
He's a jack of all trades.
I mean, especially when Woods got injured. I mean, he really started.
Well, he didn't have a choice at that point.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't have a choice, but normally you see when the number 1 goes down, you see the next guy up not do as well. The Cooper Kupp excelled. And now here's something that might be controversial, but I think he's going to be a big dropper on this list.
I'm right there with you. I don't think he's going to be at least a top 5.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to be a top 5 this year. This upcoming.
I'll play devil's advocate. I think he's top 5.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
What number?
If I had it between 3 and 5,
Mhm.
I don't think
so
he'll
low,
be number
low.
1.
All
Yeah.
right.
But just
What's your take on the
you can say
supermodel, Paul?
Hey, I I agree with Joshua. Just because I think last year Kupp came out because nobody could game plan for him. Nobody knew what to do with them. And I think there's a lot of intangibles that don't get discussed a lot of times. And that is, I really, truly believe nobody expected the Rams to be where they were because they were fighting through the West. They still had old rivalries. They were trying to figure things out, blah, 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 blah. And yet they were still strong, but nobody was really, I think nobody, at least in my opinion, was really saying the Rams were going to be the one to take it the whole way. And I think Kupp was hard to game plan for. The guy's slippery. He's in there. He's not the fastest dude on the field, but the guy has amazing hands. And here's one more thing. Thielen can't do it every single year. So somebody needed to step up, and I'm glad Kupp did. Even though they're on 2 different teams. The point is, Thielen was the man for a long time, and he was that slippery guy that always got in there, and he's tapering off, and we needed somebody else to do what he does somewhere else. Does that sound good? That sounds like a good Vikings excuse, right?
Well, he's yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, you don't get very much, so you might as well take it.
That's
we'll
right.
give it to you. That's
Yeah.
But no, I think the big thing with Cooper Kupp was he was always a target guy. I mean, just how that offense was designed, whether it's Robert Woods, like their PPR floor is really high. What just was unexpected was like 19 touchdowns this year. So I think if anything, the touchdowns may go down, but the targets, I can see it being around that range. Like if we're looking at stats here,
I agree.
20 more targets than the next.
They don't sleep on Robinson.
Yeah, here's the thing.
Don't sleep on Allen Robinson.
I think Allen Robinson will take some of that workload.
Yeah.
But I think Cooper Kupp is still the top guy there. And even 80%.
Oh, he is, yeah.
80% of what this last year was is still top 5, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree completely, Josh, because that, again, guys, I think nobody knew how to game plan for him. They'll adjust this year. They're going to adjust. They're going to game plan. They've watched the films. They're ready for it.
Yeah.
At the same time, I think the Rams, their coaching, they're going to come up with a plan to make sure. But I would have to say his catches will be up, but his touchdowns will be down.
I mean, in terms of superstition too, if you're a superstitious person, we see the number one fantasy player at the end of or at the beginning of the next year always have a major regression. So I'm also believing in that pattern personally. And also Kupp is getting older. I mean, he turns 30 during season. So, I mean, injuries are now on the table. I mean, he was a torn ACL guy beforehand. So,
but his consistency, his hands are very good. Very good.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter how good your hands are if you tear your ACL again.
That's true. Yeah. But he's a very consistent
guy. I mean, the PT will appreciate you being a really good catcher, but he won't be on the field.
Okay, so he's going to so he turns not 30, he turns 29 and it's still around that age range. So good pull from you there. I still think
he's on the cusp.
I mean, the big thing for me though is McVay has already been to a Super Bowl, and then he went to a second Super Bowl.
Yeah,
I think if anything, McVay has gone through this. He knows how to adjust, and he'll know how to adjust with Cooper Kupp. I think there's no mistake with Allen Robinson coming in, because now it's okay, you're gonna have to deal with us, and instead of waiting on Odell to come in and get ready to go because he tore his ACL literally in February, now you have someone who's ready week 1.
And I think OBJ will be back too.
Yeah, OBJ will be back mid-season.
Oh yeah.
I think so too.
And that's going to hurt his value.
They're very intent.
I personally
signing him.
I personally think no one signed him because everyone knows he wouldn't pass a physical right now. That's just me.
Yeah.
Also, did y'all see the podcast interview of McVay saying if Odell crashes his wedding day?
I was just going to mention that. Yep. So OBJ crashes wedding. It's a signed deal, basically.
Yeah. Look, it's a nice handshake.
It's a handshake agreement.
Yeah. But Cooper Kupp had probably one of the greatest fantasy seasons
of all time.
Ever.
Yeah.
And
I would agree with that.
I still think he's going to be a force to be reckoned with this year, whether it's a lower spot or number 1 again. But let's talk about the number 2 guy, and by far the craziest projection and trajectory of this most dynamic, and that's Devos Samuel.
Yeah. I had him on my list. I think he is going to regress a lot this year. You know, he requested that he not do the rushing plays that he's been doing last year. So that's going to cut into a lot of his, fantasy points, not having that, the rushing ability, or not rushing ability, but the rushing option there. He's pretty much just going to be catching passes next year, which sucks for people who own him, but I don't see him regressing a lot.
I don't think it'll be crazy.
I think he'll still be a top 10 to top.
It'll 15. Be noticeable though if you're a Devo.
But he's definitely not going to be averaging 23 points a game. I don't think so.
I think he's just upset with the system too, and in terms of confidence, that doesn't bode well for San Francisco and the kind of production that they're going to have. And they don't really have a plan. Are they sticking with Jimmy G? Jimmy G isn't always the clutchest. Are they going with Trey Lance? Trey Lance isn't ready.
I think it's pretty clear that they want to get to Trey Lance, but the issue is who's going to take Jimmy right now. And based on the sound of it, sounds like Cleveland's a good option.
Yeah, I mean,
But,
Cleveland's the
Cleveland's
only
desperate
option.
enough.
Yeah, Cleveland, Seattle, Carolina. That's kind of the only three I would see.
Yeah.
Like,
But I
see
mean,
at the
Seattle,
moment.
from what I'm hearing, they are really happy with Drew Lock, which
Good
okay,
luck.
yeah, I mean
good luck.
that's a
good
really
luck.
weird flex, but
But-
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
wouldn't take him.
funny enough, Devo didn't even touch. He only had 59 rushing attempts.
Yeah.
Like at
But he was
now,
incredibly
But
productive.
that's still,
yeah.
I mean, that's like 50 more than most of the other people.
But I think the problem is with, especially within the contract talks, like if he lined up in the backfield, he technically counts as a running back, if I'm not mistaken. Like I know
Yeah.
some teams try to get away with that, and I really hope San Francisco doesn't do that, because again, when the ball is in his hands, Devo is one of the league's best players. Period.
Oh, I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah, like we said at the beginning, he's very dynamic. He can do just about anything. So
What do you see happening with Devo, Paul?
I would say I'd have to agree with you guys. Let's be honest. I mean, he was their multi-purpose tool last year, not tool in the negative sense. But I think they truly were trying to figure things out. I mean, they were injury prone again last year, but not as bad as the year before. They had to think on the fly. And I think he was that stopgap. He was the guy that you could make do anything. And I agree, if he wants to step away from running, great, because he's going to get banged up. But
he's already injury prone.
Yeah,
exactly. But
Yeah.
the question mark comes back to quarterback. Who is it going to be, and how are they going to function, and how well is it going to operate? And with all that being said, he could bust out and be an amazing wide receiver, but then turn around at the same time and be a flat zero. So I don't know.
Yeah, and I think you brought up a great point, Paul, is that they were so injury prone, especially at the running back position, to where we were talking about Orlando legend Jacquez Patrick and being the starting running back. And fun fact, I did play against him. That dude's huge. But it was literally out of necessity with that week 9 game against the Rams on Monday night. It was like, this is kind of our last ditch option. Oh, by the way, it's working. And so it was out of necessity. As much as everyone I think loves it to be like the status quo for Devos Samuel, I think when it comes to like long-term projections, I wouldn't expect this much. Like if anything, maybe 30 carries, honestly. And you just sprinkle it in here and there, but you do it to just help manufacture the touches for Devo, because he's still the number one there. You still got Ayuk there. And then the running backs, they drafted Tyrion Davis-Price this year. You let Mostert go, but you still have Hasty, you still have Jeff Wilson and Elijah Mitchell. And Trey Sermon, I think you're there too. And
something like that.
Yeah, something like that. So overall, like, so I think we're all in agreement that Devo's going to take a slight drop, but how far is he going to go?
No further than 12.
Yeah, I could see that.
That's my thought too. I think he's still top 12.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Unless he gets injured.
Now he plays slot, doesn't he?
He plays both. He
everything.
plays inside and outside, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, because I was going to say, I think they have some outside guys. I could definitely see him playing slot. And if he does, man, I don't know. Bets are off on that one, because he's got the respect and people have got to give him space. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this was a breakout year for him.
Yeah.
I
mean, he did well his first year.
Got
and then
hurt
he
the
got
second
injured.
year.
Yeah.
and
He's a
then-
gamer. The guy is a gamer. You put him in and he wants to put it on his shoulders. And that's an intangible. And that's why I'm in agreement. I don't think he'll drop further than 12, but he's definitely not going to be in the top 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Now-
briefly touching on the next one. Is this on anyone's list? Wide receiver
No,
three?
I just wanted to bring up a point that I know we just said, Cooper Kupp may have had the greatest year ever. So we talked very highly of Devos Samuel, who scored total points for the year, 377. Cooper Kupp scored 473 last year. Just
Wow.
want to put that out there.
Yeah, almost 100.
Almost
more.
100 points more, which is absurd. But
Yeah.
sorry,
I enjoyed having him on my team. But the thing about him being on my team is it's not that like he won me games. It's just that the games that I won, he blew them out.
Oh yeah, and yeah, your point differential was something else.
Yeah, like my team was good, and then Cooper Kupp just made it disrespectful.
Yeah.
Like I didn't want to beat anyone that bad.
But the issue with your team last year was you either beat them by like 30, 40 points.
Oh, more than that, but
or you lost by like
barely by like
2 points.
Yeah.
But that was only
like the trade-off.
But those were the games when like Kupp didn't do as well, and this person didn't do as well, and and not having D-Hop and not having Calvin Ridley. Anyways, we're not here to talk about that. Devonta Adams was our wide receiver 3. And the Raiders are going to be hit or miss. And that's my prediction for the year.
I think there's one person who's going to be constant, and it's not Devonta Adams.
Yeah, it's the Mr. Slot. I'm an accountant. I work at Wendy's. Looking at Mr. Renfro.
Hi, welcome to Chili's.
Exactly.
Yeah, really. No joke.
But we love Hunter Renfro. Anyways, Devonta Adams will either have a really good season or Oakland will be at the bottom of the AFC West. And that's my prediction.
I would say top 12.
We have a tough division, right?
Yeah, tough division. I mean, tough corners. Like, I think the weakest group of corners might actually be Kansas City or Las Vegas, but you're going to be dealing with J.C. Jackson or Surtain.
Which good luck with that.
Yeah, good luck with both of them. So, but I will say though, and he does have a slight coaching upgrade in Josh McDaniels. So I really am interested to see how Josh McDaniels uses Devontae Adams.
Yeah. Well, and we get to see Josh McDaniels 2.0 because it didn't go so hot with the Broncos, but see what happens with a different.
Fun fact. I want to bring this up because I did look this up. He only lasted like 2 years. And really the big reason why he didn't last like 2 years is Tebow. And I'm like, I think
that's kind of not ideal.
More than anything, like he was so unfairly criticized. Like with Tebow as his quarterback, like he just made it work the first year.
Yeah.
And then once everyone kind of got used to like, hey, Tebow really can't throw. And then you basically saw what happened. You went 3-9 the next year before getting canned. But like I think the more I think about it, the more I'm like, man, he really didn't get his like fair shake, the quarterback he wanted. Like, so I'm really interested to see how he's going to deal with Derek Carr. I mean, it's not that big of a transition going from Gruden and co-conspirator, whatever it is, but from Gruden to McDaniels, it's not that big of a transition.
Yeah, I think he's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, McDaniels coming from the Belichick tree is only going to help him.
Yeah. And we're thinking top 12 for Devontae Adams.
I'm thinking no further than top 6.
Yeah, I was going to say top 10 at least, maybe.
Okay. Yeah. I feel more firm within the top 10.
If they utilize him.
Yeah. See, I think what's different from the wide receivers to the running backs is there's going to be more movers in the wide receivers than there will be in running backs. Because I think running backs are going to perform better than they did last year, but wide receivers are going to be all over the place for this next season.
And they may not be as consistent, to be honest with you. I think so many teams have multiple weapons, especially like either whether it be slot or outside, to where it could be anybody's game of the week. And, and I think consistency is so huge, and we'll talk about it with another receiver here, but consistency is going to be the name of the game when it comes to receivers. If you can find someone, instead of getting those spike weeks, but if you can find someone who can get you 13 points a week, that's going to be your saving grace.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
But this next wide receiver is near and dear to someone's heart.
Yeah. JJ, Justin Jefferson.
Captain Baldy, take us away.
Yeah. How'd you pick him?
Oh, man. I don't know, guys. I'm going to be a little biased. I mean, the kid is amazing.
Yep.
He's just simply amazing. Now, when I say amazing, I'm talking about the fact that he didn't have any injuries. So that's a big plus. That he doesn't have to go over that psychological barrier. You know, I think just watch again. I come back to those things that we don't like to talk about oftentimes because they're those things you can't get a stat on. And the kid's a gamer. He'll put it on his shoulders. He'll carry it. He'll run with it all day long. Doesn't have a problem with it. Smiles at the end of the game, and he brings it every single time. I think it's still going to come back to that freaky quarterback that he has to play with. So,
The youth pastor.
Yep.
sorry.
Little cousins.
Anyways,
Go grab your back in the elevator.
I really do. I think he's gonna do well, but it really truly hinges on the running game of the Vikings.
Well,
And he is going to get major catches, major touchdowns. I think he's going to do extremely well as long as he doesn't get injured. He'll be fine.
yeah, and with KOC in there, our new head coach,
Mhm.
he's bringing in a new offensive scheme. It's not
Yeah.
going to be completely different than what we've had in previous years, but
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
is changing up some stuff. And I've heard like rumors. We talked about it in this last podcast about them doing more 3 wide receiver sets.
Mhm.
So
I could see
that'll
that.
open up the field for him.
Yeah.
For Justin. So
Yep.
yeah, I think that'll help him. Honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I think
I see
he's going
him
to stay
being-
right where he is.
I think
Mhm.
yeah,
He's not
I see
moving from
him
these numbers.
maybe
Right.
being top 3,
Yeah.
maybe.
If any movement at all, maybe a little bit better, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to be a little conservative and say he'll definitely be in the top 5.
Yeah.
I can't say it's going to be a clear cut
Barring-
top 3,
I mean,
but
barring injury or anything,
right. Barring, I mean, of course, we all know this comes down to, if all of a sudden the team falls apart, you have a locker room issue, blah, blah, blah. But all things said, if everything works out well, you won't have to worry about Justin Jefferson. He will be there and he will play for sure.
Yeah, well, and it is hard because everyone thinks they're that team until they're the butt of the joke.
Oh yeah,
Of
Like
course.
all 32 teams are on top
Absolutely.
of the world until you start
Absolutely.
playing football.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
you just got to wait and see what happens.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, in terms of coaching and stuff, yeah, I could see an increase from that. I mean, he would definitely benefit from a different quarterback, but I mean, he's just that guy.
but who knows?
Mhm.
There's not many people who are just that dude, and he's that guy.
Well, and also,
is.
the quarterback play may get better. Who knows? KOC is really good about forming the offense around that
And
quarterback.
Yeah.
the one thing I want to bring up, and I brought it up in our coaches episode, but I think it bears repeating. KOC was the guy who would always get cut by New England, to which then every other team playing New England would sign him for the week. They'd be like, hey, tell us the Patriots scheme. And so for him, like already having to communicate, like, okay, so like all these different parts and to all these different teams, and he bounced around the league. So he has like this multitude of like,
Mhm.
like schemes that he can kind of draw upon.
Mhm.
And he was the quarterback's coach last year for the Rams. I think it can be better than what's typically been there. I think you could literally see the certain quarterback play really good. I think it's possible considering how like Chicago is, Detroit's still rebuilding, and then the Packers are the Packers. So we'll mean, it's a we'll see.
They're always rebuilding, but still competing for some reason.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I think Justin brings, when you look at him, he's not a physical guy. And now I'm not saying he's not physical. Don't get me wrong. What I'm trying to say is that there's not a lot of physicality with him where he's getting muscles on people.
I mean, it's not his style.
No, it's not. But he does. He's not slippery like Cup, but he knows how to get separation. And his most important piece of anything is that he has ball awareness. It's like he's Spider-Man when it comes to the ball. That ball can be anywhere around him, and he just knows what limbs to move in order to meet the ball where it's at. And that's one thing physical wide receivers don't usually have. And I think that's that one intangible. Again, I keep bringing that up, but it's that one thing that he's got that not a lot of other wide receivers do have. Like Devonta Adams. Devonta Adams is good, but he's a muscle guy. He's like, he'll get in there and he'll brawl with you, and that makes
he's
him
a physical route runner. Yeah,
he is.
Yeah,
So is
route
Mike
runner.
Evans. Those guys, but Justin, he's slippery. He's tiny. Now, I don't mean he's weak, but he knows where the ball's going to be. He has that sixth sense. So,
Yeah.
And that's why, him building up this rapport with Cousins over the last 2 years has been really good for him.
Exactly. And when you look at
He's gotten
quarterbacks,
better.
when you look through the NFL, you'll find that when you have that team, that teamwork or that connection, that's the word I was looking for. When that quarterback knows that he can throw it within 20 feet of that now I'm being facetious, but throw it within 20 feet of that wide receiver, that it's not going to get picked off unless something weird happens. That quarterback can play with a heightened confidence like he's never played before, and he'll toss the ball up and you never have to worry about it. So again, that connection's got to happen.
Yeah, having Thielen and Jefferson on the same team.
And speaking of that quarterback receiver connection and that chemistry, I think the next person also needs to get discussed. Talking about the other LSU receiver within the last couple of years, the number 5 player, Jamar Chase.
Yes.
My number 3 pick in our draft last year. Yeah.
Yep. Ryan's a loser.
Totally worth it.
Totally
worth it. This guy is a superstar. Jamar Chase. I think he only goes up from here.
He's wide receiver 1 next year.
I think there's a definite chance with the additions that they made on their O-line in Cincinnati. There's no reason, barring injury, there's no reason why this guy couldn't be number 1 or number 2.
Oh yeah. Well,
heavily in that offense.
And let's be honest. I mean, granted, they played the Rams, but they had every opportunity to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, except the O-line was absolutely
but that's okay. I mean, they've made those changes now. They've adapted. They've done it. But that again, just like Joshua said, that connection. Jamar Chase to me he's not the opposite of what's his name? Justin Jefferson. He's not the opposite of him. He's the muscle side of Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
He is the guy that's going to go up and brawl with you.
Yeah, he straight up bullied people.
Yeah.
He wants to catch it on your forehead.
Yeah.
Yeah, he sure does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was just beasting and feasting last year. I mean, I only see Chase going up from here. He only got 81 receptions and 128 targets. I see that increasing.
Yeah, literally within the top 5, and he probably has the next few. He has the second fewest targets.
Well, I mean, look at his reception yards per catch.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the only one that beat him was Devo.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's it.
Yeah, that's insane. Like yards per target was 11, and yards per catch was 17.
Oh, no.
Am I looking at the wrong person? Yeah.
Oh, got you.
No.
I'm gonna step out and make a prediction. I think Jamar Chase will catch over 100 balls this year.
I like that. Considering they lost Uzoma.
I see that.
Yeah,
I could totally see that.
Mm-hmm.
I see that.
I'll tell you, I think Jamar Chase is going to be the number 2 receiver. Personally, I think Justin Jefferson's number 1 next year. That's my
okay. That's an argument that
because I have one issue with Jamar Chase. It's not even with Jamar Chase. It's Zach Taylor.
Yeah.
And just because you can get the Jimmys and Joes, but if your X's and O's suck, you're going to get exposed. I am literally, and I said this in our group chats. I've said this the entire time. Nothing from Zach Taylor really surprised me or impressed me. And I think you when you give a team a Super Bowl amount of experience knowledge against what you want to do, it usually bites back. And I think if there's any drop off, whether it's Burrow, Higgins, or with Jamar Chase, it's going to be because people know what the scheme is.
Yeah.
And I think there's a very real chance of that happening. I think Jamar Chase is a unicorn though, to where that won't affect him. But the rest of the team, I can totally see that happening.
Yeah.
That could definitely happen. That could happen.
I can see it. Wide receiver 6, Mr. Cheetah himself.
Yeah.
I mean,
No longer in a red uniform.
I mean, I think with Tyreek Hill, this could be very quick. It's not. I think he may take the biggest tumble, also because he has another elite receiver right next to him in Jalen Waddle.
Yep.
But also, you don't have Mahomes who can bomb at 70 yards to you, so it's going.
Yeah.
I think his like reception volume could actually go up, but your big spike plays of Tyreek Hill, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's hard with him because I want to say he's going to take quite a tumble, but I mean, it's Tyreek Hill. The dude's just a freak.
Yeah.
I think
they can scheme it. If they scheme it the right way, he'll be okay.
Yeah.
I think both him and Waddle are top 20.
I agree.
But
I hope so.
I don't know top 10.
Yeah, poor Jalen Waddle owner over here.
I know. I traded for Jalen Waddle, and then they go and trade for Tyreek Hill, and I'm like, oh, kidding me.
Yeah, but the
That's in the chats.
but Mike McDaniel is the head coach. He knows how to manufacture touches, considering he was the one guy who helped get Devos Samuel all the touches.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you'll see him at 6. But if you tell me Tyreek Hill's wide receiver 8, I can totally see that.
Yeah,
Agreed.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
keeping on moving, we got Stefan Diggs next at wide receiver 7.
And
I believe that's your
Stefan
first one.
Diggs.
Yeah,
right, Jeff?
that is my first one,
All right,
and
take us away.
it's going to be very short and sweet. It almost felt like disappointment last year. Because
Yeah, I
you
love
probably drafted him second round. He was probably your wide receiver 3 or 4. And then you're like, this is the guy I want. He's going to lead me here. He had basically almost no spike games. I think maybe like 2. And then you were like, why did I draft him with the second pick? And then like it would have been a lot better if he was like a 3rd or 4th pick. But let's talk about the truth about Stefan Diggs. He hit his average fantasy points per game almost 50% of the time. Surprisingly, and even if when he didn't hit, he was a couple points close. He legitimately was one of the most consistent receivers last year.
Yes.
And no one realized it.
Yep.
Nope.
And I think
That's right.
especially if you're talking about consistency and how that's going to have to be the name of the game, because there's so many receivers that can just single-handedly dominate the week. Stefan Diggs may be the one person to get, because it's like, look, he's not going to be like my alpha who's going to like lead me to a championship, but he will surely build the foundation to get me there. And like he can be he could be a plug and play. I don't have to worry about him. And then I can build the rest of my starting lineup based on the matchups.
Yeah.
Stefan Diggs is that kind of guy. And so honestly, I had him in a redraft league last year. I was disappointed with him to where I traded him mid-season, which was just bad because I couldn't realize that he was just straight up one of the most consistent receivers in the league last year.
Yeah. I like Diggs. I think he's getting older, which is always a concern. But beyond getting older, I mean, he's just so good.
He's
got a lot of talent.
Yeah.
A lot of talent.
He's got a lot of talent, and
he doesn't take hits.
Yeah, and he's got one of the best quarterbacks throwing to him.
I think he stays in this range personally.
I completely agree.
Here.
I think he stays in the top 12 to 13, maybe. I think he may have a little regression just because Double isn't there anymore. So it might take a hit, or he might take a hit.
Maybe, but at least it's consistent, though. They have Ken Dorsey, who was the quarterback's coach last year. Also, Miami Hurricanes legend.
You want to know something sad? There's not a Falcons wide receiver in the top 32.
To be fair, the Falcons didn't really have a wide receiver till like 3 weeks ago. So that's the other issue.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You want to talk about disappointing second-round picks? Let's talk about Calvin Ridley.
Oh, no.
The disappointing second-round pick.
But, but with Stefan Diggs, I think he's just super consistent. He's not going to – if he does get a spike week, that's wonderful. but at the very worst, he's just going to be a PPR machine for you, and he's always going to keep you in contention.
Guys, I have to say though, I think he's going to be in the top 8 this year.
Really?
Ooh,
And
okay.
the reason, the
Oh,
reason I say
bold
that
prediction.
is because he's a bulldog, man. And he's not the guy he was at Minnesota where he wanted the ball all the time so he can be the best on the team, so he can have the trophies for himself. And I'm not calling him selfish. I'm just saying you had 2 guys that were vying for the limelight in Minnesota. Well, when he went to the Bills, he was the man on the scene.
Yeah.
And last year, nobody talked about him. And I think that gets under his skin. And I think this year he's going to come out and he is going to be super, super aggressive. And that's why I think you're going to see a guy that's going to do stuff that he never did before. And he's older, but he's a lunch pail dude. He's going to be bringing the lunch pail to work, and he's going to be there to get it done.
I like that.
Okay. All right.
All right. I like that.
Speaking of consistency, let's
Great.
talk about Deontay Johnson.
Great segue.
Yeah.
I mean,
Both of these next 2
Yeah.
wide receivers.
yeah, I mean, this grouping of 3 is just the epitome of
I
consistency.
mean, I say let's just bring up the other person, the next person underneath Deontay Johnson, Hunter Renfrow.
Hunter
Yeah, but I
Renfrow.
want to talk about my
Yeah.
guy
Yeah,
first.
yeah.
We'll talk about both of them.
Yeah, talk about your guys.
Talk
So
about Deontay.
my experience with Deontay Johnston, I just got him in a trade, but my experience playing against him was this dude just hit his mark. Like he would hit 18 to 20 points every single game, and it was just infuriating because you'd sit there and you'd be. It's kind of like back to the last episode when I was talking about Josh Jacobs. Like, oh, who do I have left? Josh Jacobs. I need 5 points to win. I won. Or I need 10 points to win. I win. That's kind of what Deontay Johnson was like. If he's your last player and you need 8 points to win the game, you won that week. Congratulations. Go take your victory lap.
Yeah.
And even with the QB switch up, honestly, I think that's going to benefit him more than hurt him.
I think if
Well,
anything,
it depends on if it's Mitchell Trubisky or.
I don't think it matters if
I
it's
don't think it
Trubisky or
matters either.
Pickett.
I agree with you, Ethan. I don't think it matters
Because I think he doesn't have to deal with noodle arm underthrowing him anymore.
Yeah.
So now he can just play his game. I don't know. I love him.
Maybe.
I love him, and I love oh my gosh, Chase Claypool. I love both of them in Pittsburgh. They're both going to be superstars. Deontay Johnson taking the brunt of the workouts, and I think his drop percentage is going to go down because he kind of had a little bit of an issue with that this last season. But I think he's going to improve on that when the ball is not being underthrown the majority of the time.
Yeah.
And I mean, the one thing I do want to bring up here is like noodle arm Ben Roethlisberger. They have Trubisky, they got Pickett. They're going to throw the ball more. And if that doesn't convince you, they drafted George Pickens and Calvin Austin within the top 4 rounds.
Yeah.
Even with having James Washington, Claypool, and Deontay Johnson. So I think there's comments from Najee Harris, I believe, a couple of days ago, talking about how he's probably not going to be used on certain downs.
Well, and they released the
spoke-
statement said we're not going to run the ball as much.
Yeah.
Sorry, Paul.
They're just going to sling it around. And I think Deontay Johnson, like he was just a PPR monster because he was always grabbing me things underneath. But now he has a quarterback that's like, oh, hey, I can throw at least a 15-yard dig route to you.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I think Deontay Johnson's here to stay.
It's just about how humble Trubisky's coming in, I would say.
Yeah. I think he has a little bit of a regression, but he's not outside of the top 13.
I see him going over 300 this season.
Yeah.
For the first time.
I think
I
he's
don't
going
see
to be my personal opinion. He's going to be the most consistent receiver.
Yeah. I think he's going to take it from Diggs, but
yeah, just because I think with Deontay Johnson, like it's that offense is like if there's one thing that you know that they will do, and it's we will target Deontay Johnson.
Yeah.
So
I love him. I love him, and he's young too. He's just going to get better, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Who had the most targets on the team last year?
In Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
I want to
Deontay
say,
Johnson did.
Deontay Johnson did. And I'll double check how much Claypool had.
Yeah, because
Juju
wasn't really
dead in the water.
No.
Juju got
I'll never pick him again for fantasy.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
Paul.
he was good when Brown was there, and that's about
Also,
it.
so
As soon as
while
Brown
Josh
left,
is
it was like,
while
Claypool
Josh is
had
looking that up,
105 targets.
okay, yeah. So
yeah,
a difference
they
of
had
64.
169.
Yeah. So that the reason I asked that was because it's obvious that the focus is on him, and that may have created all the issues he had before. Was that, man, if he's not ready to step up, but he's the one that's being sought after, that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think you'll see a turnaround this year. But again, Trubisky's going to be the one that, like you guys just said, that's the intangible. That's the unknown, because he's coming, wasn't he with he was with the
He's with
Bears.
the
He didn't go
Bills.
anywhere.
Well, yeah, he
Well, he
signed
was
with
the
the
That's
Bears
right.
to the
Bills.
Bills. So
That's
he
right.
just got
He was with
done
the
with
Bills.
Dabble and Josh Allen,
Yep.
which is why I love his value.
And he looked,
Yeah.
and I mean, I brought him up as one of the top free agents. Is like, look, if you're
Yeah.
not sold on the quarterback class,
Yeah.
by all means, look at Mitch Trubisky here. And
Yeah.
then the Steelers said, well, yes, we're just going to grab Trubisky and pick it.
Well, and the thing
Yeah.
is, Trubisky loves to run. If they let him be active, I think you're going to see a way different style of play from the Steelers. Because I don't think that I'm not going to say he's not a pocket quarterback. I don't see him as an athletic only, but definitely when he likes to run, he wants to run. He likes to hit people. He's just like Josh Allen. So
I think
I
he
don't
might
know.
be athletic in the pocket, but for very different reasons.
Yes, exactly. You're right. But I think that's still going to be one of those intangibles that they're gonna use to their advantage. So
Well, and he's been waiting for a good team too. And the Steelers are a good team.
they are. They're a solid. They've got a really solid team there.
He can
to work
ease
with.
in too. Like I say, Trubisky's a very good streaming candidate this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the quarterback of the Steelers, period. Whether it's him or Pickett, could be a very good streaming candidate.
Yeah.
I'm excited to watch
Especially in
Pittsburgh this year.
Superflex leagues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now with the other guy, Hunter Renfro, I mean, he basically exploded over the second half of the year when Waller was just.
Well, I mean, last year he was Mr. Consistent too.
Yeah.
This year he just continued with that.
And
he
then
did really well.
You get the slot god offense this year in McDaniels. So I think top 10 is that's the best.
I think that could be accurate. Honestly.
I think he scores more points. I don't know if he's in the top 10 though.
I think he gets more than 128 targets.
I agree with that.
Because if there's anybody that's going to drop as far as the receiving options, it's probably going to be Waller.
Yeah. R.A.P. Waller owners. Sorry.
Yeah.
Glad
it was fun while it lasted.
It was.
It was a nice 2 years, and that's it.
Yeah.
A year and a half, I should say.
A year and week 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I fell for that trap in the redraft. That hurt.
I only did it in redraft, so now I don't have to worry about him, thankfully.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
But on to our next big guy. Speaking of big guys, we got Mike Evans. I don't believe he's on any of our lists, but a really quick note on him. He's going to have a ton of work at the start of the season.
Well,
I will tease it. I think he's top 5 this year out of necessity.
That's a bold prediction.
Yeah, it is.
He's not going to maintain that. Maybe at the start of the season.
Because the problem with him is he's very touchdown dependent. He's always been that way in Tampa Bay. He's very touchdown dependent. So if he doesn't get those touchdowns, he's not going to be super effective fantasy wise.
Yes,
but that's when Godwin comes in, because Godwin is only a couple down from him on this list, and he missed multiple games.
May I also remind you, Chris Godwin's not showing up for the first half of the season. It is Mike Evans, Russell Gage. What did y'all?
Chris Carson is not cleared for minicamp.
That's why Kenneth Walker was the
sound
the alarm.
Sound the alarm.
Yep, sound the alarm.
Ring the bells.
And I have Chris Carson.
Chris Carson is dying before our very eyes.
His playing career, not literally, but the thing is with Mike. Back to Mike Evans though, like Tampa has to rely on him. Like just the 3 receiver sets. You don't have 3 receivers. You don't have Antonio Brown or Godwin. You do have Russell Gage, and then you're depending on what Scotty Miller, Jalen Darden, and a couple other people too.
But that's only going to be for like 6 games.
But still, like he could put up an output for at least the first 6 to 10 weeks of
Right. And
this
that's
is
why I agree with
the
you. He'll be
guy.
the top dog for the first 6 to 8 weeks, I'll say. And when Chris Godwin gets back, if you're a Chris Godwin owner, he's going to explode.
Yes.
It's also new coaching too, so you got to adjust for that.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I don't think it's going to be too crazy because it's literally the only person that's not showing back up is Arians. But I think, I mean, it could be a situation where it's like, look, be on the lookout for him early in the year. And then by the time you're hearing Chris Godwin might come back, especially in a redraft format, trade him at that point. Get your King's ransom and then use everyone else. Kind of like Michael Pittman last year.
Yeah.
Where
I'm so glad I didn't listen to Ryan and trade for Pittman. Oh my goodness.
I told you not to.
Yeah, no, we agreed to go after DK, and Ron's like, "Oh, come on, get Pittman," and then he busts out 5 points every game.
Michael Pittman?
Yeah, dude, he was busting out like 5 to 10 points for like the entire back half of the season.
I've heard Pittman this year with Matt Ryan though has been really clicking. So
this, that I can see, but Alec Pierce
may come back this year and actually,
it was just last year. Like, I know you were thinking about making the trade, Ethan, but it was like, oh no, his playoff schedule, you do not want to touch that because it was like the Patriots. It was like every single tough secondary.
Yeah. And then I ended up getting DK and it worked out for me, but we'll talk about DK here in a little bit.
Yeah, but let's talk about the next one.
Yes, my number 2. The next Mike, right after the first one.
Mike Williams.
Here's the thing about Mike Williams. This guy is a home run. And
only when you put him on your bench.
Let me explain.
Weeks 1 through 5.
Why Mike Williams is a home run is because I think he's finally getting a handle on his injury history. I don't know what he's doing specifically, but it seems like he's just taking better care of himself to where he's actually going to last this season.
Well, to be fair, for the first few years, he just had he disregarded his body. It was like, let me catch this ball falling sideways, break ribs. Yep, I'll do it.
Right. So I think he's actually taking care of himself as a wide receiver now. And with Keenan Allen getting older, I think there's going to be more work for him because of that. Like he only got 129 targets. Keenan Allen got 157. Well, you see Mike Williams, wide receiver 11, Keenan Allen, wide receiver 12. I mean, I can't be the only one noticing that and saying, okay, well, let's get this kid Mike the ball a little bit more because when he gets it, he's explosive.
And he was the most dominant dude weeks 1 through 5.
Right.
But
him and Cup together were just so much fun.
Ethan, if you were to
he's going to have a season like he did last year.
Well, I hope not, because he fell off the face of the earth.
Yeah, I think he's going to be better than last year.
So, Ethan, where do you think we're doing STAT-A-THON receivers again. Where are we talking Mike Williams is at?
Where's he at next year?
Yeah. I know. I forgot the English language there. My bad.
I think he's wide receiver 11 or 12 with 280 or 290 points.
Okay. So I know you mentioned, like, in the running backs episode, a lot of people are going to be over 250. What's your kind of baseline for receivers this year?
I think as far as wide receivers go, I think the top like 30 to 35 are going to be over 200 points.
Wow.
I'll do one better. I'll say top 25 is going to be over 250.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
Yeah.
Because, I think Mike Williams will be wide receiver 11 or 12 around 280, 290.
I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Man, that's a huge amount of point increase based on the fact that he only had 170 points last year, and he's never had anything over that based on the fact that, of course, he had injuries.
But that's
still,
what I'm saying. With Keenan Allen getting older and kind of getting to where he's done, and Mike Williams taking care of himself, he gets another uptick in his targets and receptions.
But also,
and he's also red zone threat.
But also, Herbert's not going to be having to throw 5,000 yards every season.
Right.
Because the defense was crap. They fixed the defense this offseason.
All right. Yeah, that is a good point. And actually, the other point I was going to bring up is, where does Josh Palmer fit into this?
I don't think he's relevant.
I don't think,
not this year.
I don't think he's a top 30 or even 40.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean they have Gerald Everett too, but and obviously Eckler is.
My prediction
Eckler
for Josh
things.
Palmer is try again next year.
It might be. It
Or
very well be.
If Keenan Allen or Mike Williams goes down. Then
Yeah, well, and I can see Keenan Allen going down this year because I mean he is what 32.
I think Keenan Allen has a better chance of going top 24. Emphasis on 24. Honestly.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that's
he's
very
going to be a
possible.
big dropper in my opinion.
Yeah. And then, I mean, probably the Seattle receivers, maybe, because you have a quarterback that you don't want to cook. And,
Well, speaking of
Well, I think. Well,
Seattle,
yeah. Let's just go to Seattle and then we'll talk about the other one because we have lock it up next.
Let's just talk about both of them because now we're into
Okay.
a place that we're let's just kind of go out of order a little
I
bit.
think Tyler Lockett and DK flip flop.
I think
Wow.
so too.
Okay.
So DK goes to 13, Lockett
Drew
goes
Lock?
to 17. Yeah, with Drew
Yeah.
Lock. Because
Drew Lock,
DK is going to be force fed. And if Drew Lock's a good fit for their system, because it could just be a system thing. Maybe Drew Lock just didn't work in the Denver system, which is totally legitimate. Not a lot of QBs do. So maybe in this
unless you're
Seattle
old.
system. Yeah, and that's yeah.
A
basically.
prerequisite is that you had to have been an all-pro on a team beforehand to succeed.
Yeah, you had to have gone to Super Bowl before playing for Denver if you want to be there.
That's the Elway curse.
Right.
So I mean, DK is going to be force fed, and from everything DK said, he's enjoying Drew Lock, and things have been fine with him. Now pads aren't on yet, so we don't know.
And guess
DK
who
is
isn't-
holding out.
Yeah, I was gonna say, guess who isn't at
when
mandatory
you-
minicamp?
Yeah,
Yeah, but like also look at Seattle's line. Drew Lock never did well under pressure.
well, but I mean, Seattle.
They beefed
improved
up
their line this
with
They
Charles
added-
Cross and
They added
Abraham
Charles
Lucas.
Cross.
No,
Oh,
they
that's
added
what-
another.
They added another
free agency. Yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
then, they're
Russell
going
Wilson
to-
left, and they said we don't want our quarterback to get sacked anymore.
It's like, oh wow,
Yeah.
so
Your most
so-
valuable asset, you get beat up for years. The
Exactly.
day
Yeah,
he
they
leaves,
call your
you
bluff.
finally get him protection.
That is exactly how you do it. That's
And-
just business.
Good job,
and-
Pete Carroll.
And Ethan, I think you're spot on with this because if they want DK on the field this year, they have to force feed him the ball.
And now, if
you
DK
are
gets
the guy.
traded, he goes up even higher on this list.
Exactly, especially when it comes to dynasty projection. 100%.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah.
Put him in Atlanta, please. I don't know if you're listening out there,
You want
TF,
DK
but
Metcalf,
I want DK Metcalf.
Look, DK.
Drake
All right,
London.
Yes.
Yes.
And
that is
Yes.
the
Oh my
NFL's
gosh.
that is the wide receiver bully room.
They're
Yeah.
they're
Let's
building
just
the
have the
monster
best-
squad.
let's just have
from-
the best wide
from
receiver
Space
room.
Jam.
And guess who's throwing to them? Marcus Mariota.
Listen, but Mariota's not going to be bad. He's not
Look.
going to be great. He's not going to be bad.
Look, who knows?
mean-
Atlanta could be bad enough that they get like CJ Stroud next year.
Yeah. But even with Ritter, man, Ritter's a winner. I want to see that kid play. I want to see what he can do with the
We'll-
monster
we'll see.
squad.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
I mean, the next person let's bring up here, CD Lamb, and I think he.
Oh yeah, forget about Waddle. He's
Yeah.
waddling away.
Oh,
to
yeah,
the
Waddle.
fantasy stadium.
huh?
Sorry, I had dyslexia.
No,
Yeah.
he's waddling
Oh,
away
let's
down the
forget about
list, so it's
Waddle.
okay.
Tyreek comes onto the scene and it's whatever.
Yeah, Waddle.
I-
Anyway, CD Lamb, go ahead, Josh. We don't care about
no,
Waddle.
let me just say a little bit on Waddle because I had dyslexia and totally flipped on him. But Waddle, I think don't be sure that he's just gonna fall off the face of the earth. I mean,
Stay
he
off
had
the
a-
face of the earth.
But I
think he's top 20. I think he's top around the 14
Really?
range. Yes,
We'll see.
because the thing is, it's pick your poison. Are you going to double Tyreek or are you going to double Waddle? Most teams are going to double Tyreek, which leaves you Waddle.
Yeah.
And
that's
so
true.
it's pick your poison. And think of the division here. Who's the best corner in that division? Tre'Davious White, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's pretty good for the most part. J.C. Jackson just left the division. Gilmore's gone. The next best two are on the same team, and Byron Jones, Xavier Howard. Then your slot guys, Noah Igbenogany. And so, who do the Jets have? Which they have Sauce now. So I mean, that's one, but you don't have two. So
But you know, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'm the thing we're not talking about here is that Waddle, he had 104 receptions, 1,000 yards. The only reason we're not talking about it is because he only had 6 touchdowns. And so his fantasy points are down, but the guy caught balls. And, you can't, it's not his fault that there's not somebody else on the team that's going to step up to make him be able to take on more. But man, I'm looking at his stats and I'm like, goodness gracious, I'd love to have a wide receiver that catches 100 balls.
Yeah.
Why not?
No, that's a fair point. Like if you're getting now, the thing about that is his target share is going to go down to Tyreek.
Of course, but that comes back to quarterback play and game calling. And really, I mean, gosh, a 9.8 receiving yards average, dude, that's a first down every time you throw him a ball. That's incredible.
Yeah, and even then, like,
but it's also one of the lowest on this list.
That is true.
True.
But I think if his target share goes down, I definitely think his touchdowns go up. I think we can be seeing like, 12 touchdown season from Jalen Waddle. Meanwhile, Tyreek Hill has only 10, but it's because he's catching it's a 30-yard touchdown or something like that, something absurd.
Yeah. Right.
Well, I mean, I think they're going to go back and forth. Like Tyreek is going to take one of the house, Waddle's going to take one of the house, and it's just going to be about who takes it to the house that day.
Yes, 100% agree with you.
So, I mean, it'll be a little bit more murky in Miami, but they might come through when you need it, I guess would be my advice to someone who owns them. Is maybe it's not always going to be Waddle. Maybe it's not always going to be Hill, but I think they will change off.
Yeah,
and you'll be okay.
It's like who gets 10 points, who gets 25.
Exactly.
It could be that variance.
And I don't think that's a bad thing because sometimes that's going to work for you. Sometimes it's not. It's all going to come down to how everything shapes out. But moving forward, I think this next person is going to be one of our biggest jumpers. Josh, I believe he's your next wide receiver.
Yes, and I agree with you 100%. Amari Cooper's gone. Dak is a year removed from the fractured ankle,
2 years.
I mean, yes.
Yeah, going on a second year.
Going on the second year. Yes. Thank you, Ryan. But still, I think without a doubt, he has to get fed. We're talking now, depends on what he does with the ball, but you better. All right. Let me just loosen the shoulders a little bit. Mike McCarthy and Kellen Moore, I swear, if you don't force feed the ball to CeeDee Lamb, you deserve to get fired.
Well, CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup.
Gallup's coming off injury still.
He tore his ACL last week of the year. So now you're having to rely on Jalen Tolbert. Amari Cooper, your next big guy, is gone. And if his leg is good to where that he can push the ball down the field, that only means good things for CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah.
And I even think that he could start stealing the receptions that Dalton Schultz even got last year. Because part of me thinks that Dalton Schultz was so good last year was because Dak was still getting used to the ankle, and the shorter option was Dalton Schultz.
Yeah.
So
Where did Amari Cooper end up on this list?
He was down here. Yeah, he's down here.
27. Oh,
Yeah, 27.
gosh.
Yeah.
At
RIP Cooper owners, we love you.
Oh
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Poor Cooper owners.
And everything with Deshaun Watson, we're just sorry.
He had a bright flash of opportunity, and now it's gone.
But you know what, guys? When you look at CeeDee Lamb, and I would say I'm going to say yes on they need to force him the ball. Okay, get that. But I think he also still needs to show that he can handle that. Now I know in college he can, but you look at his stats over the last 2 years, he was targeted 111 times in 2020 and 120 times in 2021. But of the 111 targets, he caught 74. Of 120, he caught 79. Now, there's all these intangibles. We get it. But I don't know. I don't know if he's either got his head in the game or he's really not all that. And I know that that's a stretch, but I'm just watching him play. Remember, we've talked about Justin Jefferson. we've talked about T. Higgins, we've talked about Jamar Chase, others. There's those guys who've got it, and then there's those other guys you go, I wonder. And I've often watched, just watch him the last couple of years. It's like, can he really put the team on his shoulders and win the game? I don't know.
I
think he can.
Yeah.
And I think
But
he's
does he
been
want
robbed
to?
these last 2 years.
Well, because he's been behind Cooper. And
Yeah, and I
think last year was his kind of breakout year.
Yeah, and I personally I don't want to blame him for the first year because obviously Dak got hurt, Andy Dalton had to step in.
That's a good point. Yeah,
COVID, like shenanigans that had to happen, just with everything going on at that point.
Good point.
But I think you bring up a good point, Paul, talking about the targets versus the receptions, because that is a pretty big difference there.
Yeah.
But I also partially blame that on the coaching staff.
I agree.
Just because there have been times where it's like, well, I mean, you have Zeke and Tony Pollard just run the ball, and he was super inconsistent, even though he was wide receiver 15 last year. And I think a lot of that is just either they decided to run the ball or it was Dalton Schultz get all this points, or it wasn't necessarily to him. But now if you're looking at this season, you have no choice but to go to him.
Yeah.
So that's where I think is the difference is between the first 2 years and then how this season is going to play out.
I think it's a good point because when you watch the Cowboys, it's like they're on the cusp. They're almost there, but it's like they lack this killer instinct. They may want it, but they don't want to pay for it. And it's just that.
Yeah, they've had one of the best offenses.
Yeah.
Over the last 5 years.
Right.
They've had some of the best offenses. So, they've got something going for them. It's just like you said,
they're missing that extra garnish.
Something. They're missing something. It's yeah.
All right. So,
yeah. Well, next one on our list
is it T. Higgins?
Tampa Bay. Good old Chris
Tampa
Godwin.
Bader.
Oh God, when you
and
were
honestly, if he would have played in all 17 games, there's no reason why he wouldn't be a top 8 wide receiver.
Agreed.
Yep. Agreed.
He would have been higher than top 8 if he played every game.
I think very possible.
Well, just going off of his fantasy points per game, he would be about top 8.
Yeah, he would. Yeah.
I think he would have done more. I think he would have passed Tyreek Hill and Jamar Chase.
I think so.
Maybe.
I mean, because the other thing, Jamar Chase also had the 2 spike weeks at the end of the year to really throw things in, like the Chiefs and the Ravens game. And but Godwin,
he padded his stats at the end.
Godwin is just super consistent, but he's a trade for candidate mid season. If you need to push all your wide receiver chips in the table to get one guy, to me it's Godwin mid season.
No, I agree. I mean, I think he's going to put up similar numbers to what he is here on this list already. Obviously, less games, but probably around 250 points, I would say.
Probably, and by this time, he'll be he'll probably be really low on the list just because he's probably going to miss that many games. But it's probably going to be like Derrick Henry. You're like, oh, he averaged 20 points a game when he played.
Exactly.
And so I think that's in the cards.
I agree. He's a trade for candidate mid-season. For those of you who need a wide receiver mid-season, get you some Godwin.
Yep. Here for the Godwin.
So we already talked about DK Metcalf on here.
Yep, he's going to be a riser.
Yeah.
Brandon Cooks, one of the surprises of this year.
Boy.
Him being a top 20 receiver.
I mean, I think he stays here.
I think he does. So. It's because it's lack of competition at the position. He's definitely a starter.
Davis.
I mean, honestly, I could see him going up a little bit too because I believe in Davis Mills.
Yeah,
I might be one of the only ones, but
honestly, I had him on my team every week.
Right.
I had him.
So
I had him
consistent.
up until I think week 16. I think. Can't remember when I traded him, but every time he scored a ton of points, he was sitting on my bench. And anytime I put him in,
it's just
he would score 5 points.
You think, oh man, Houston's doing so bad, and then you're like, wait.
he was the biggest frustration last year for me because
Houston doesn't stand a chance in this game.
Because I had a top 20. Yeah, exactly.
Brandon Cooks scores 30 points.
Wide receiver that sat on my bench the whole year.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't use him. Anytime I put him in, he would absolutely just destroy my team.
And Ryan, if I'm not mistaken, I believe you used Brandon Cooks in the first to get Jalen Waddle, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Which is, good trade. Good on you.
Yeah. I say that was a good trade. But yeah, I think he stays around 18. He's the bona fide. Yeah.
I think the same thing for the next one, Pittman. I don't think there's much really that needs to be said about him. Probably this area.
I could see him rise a little bit.
I think he rises to top 15 at least.
Because he also has.
Well, I see everyone scoring more points.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm just thinking of the people who I'm pretty sure are going to fall, and I'm like, yeah, I could see him higher than 19. Like, I can see him doing better than Cooks. I can see him doing better. Obviously, Godwin. Waddle probably just because Tyreek Hill's there. Keenan Allen we're expecting to drop. And then probably Tyreek Hill a little bit, but not to the point of Michael Pittman range. So I could definitely see Michael Pittman within the 11 to 18 range, honestly.
Yep, definitely.
Interesting. And for DJ Moore, he'll probably sit around here too. He'll probably increase a little bit, but
yeah.
I don't believe in Carolina.
I will believe in Carolina a little bit more if they start. That's
if they figure out how to
start
use CMC correctly.
Yeah.
He's consistent, but other than that,
DJ Moore was just literally right there.
Yeah.
Right there. And then everything went off the rails.
Well, he did really well at the beginning of the season when CMC was there and Sam Darnold was clicking, and then all of a sudden CMC got hurt and the whole offense fell apart.
Yeah. So DJ Moore has it. Like, he is becoming the Allen Robinson. Like, he is becoming Allen Robinson reincarnate.
Yeah. Well, before we get to Paul's last wide receiver, I think just quick notes. I see Hollywood Brown having a big uptick with D-Hop being out.
Same with Amon.
I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to get a lot more reps. And he's going to go up. Darnell Mooney is going to go up.
Mooney will go up.
T. Higgins is going to drop. Sorry, Paul.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know how else to sugarcoat it. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. He is.
I don't think he'll get the touchdowns, to be honest with you. But he got 110 targets. I could see 120.
Yeah.
Like I can see a small uptick because Uzoma's not there. Like, they
see.
don't have a tight end answer at the moment.
Right.
But give us your take on Mr. Thielen.
I think Thielen obviously he's on the downside. He's dropping. We all know that he's older now, much older now. But at the same time, the Vikings don't really have anybody else. And I say that they do have an up and coming tight end. What's his name? Not Conklin, but
Irv Smith.
Yeah.
Smith.
Irv Smith,
KJ Osborne, and the new guy.
True. KJ, he'll do good.
KJ Osborne. Whenever Thielen was out, I think he was out for a couple of weeks last year. And KJ Osborne blew up.
Yeah, he did
really well.
He did, and I think with the new coach, you'll probably find that now. I just think up until this last year, Thielen was that guy that you knew. You remember I talk about the lunch pail. Thielen would come and he'd show up for work, and you knew he was there, and you never had to worry about him. And now that the team has become more diverse, JJ is doing his thing. I think Thielen now. I'll be honest. I think he's quickly he's going to be relegated to a third down back or a third down wide receiver. He'll still be on the field. Don't get me wrong. And I think he'll still game, but I think the Vikings, if these other guys rise to the top, it's going to be, hey, this guy is a great locker room presence. He's got lots of history. Let's see if we can get another 5 years out of him versus waste him. Yeah. So he's going to drop, and that's okay. Not because he's a bad player. I think he's always going to be Thielen, and he's going to be one of those guys you can trust.
Yeah.
Yep.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I think
There
that's
is-
spot on.
There is one more wide receiver that I'd like to talk about.
Well, before that, I want to ask Paul a question.
Go ahead.
So, Paul, what are your maneuvers that you're going to be taking before the season starts to get your wide receivers in order? So, if you have wide receiver 28 that you're predicting to drop, and then you have wide receiver, 24 that we're predicting to drop, who are you taking? Who are going to be your starting wide receivers?
I don't know, man. I honestly, I haven't even thought about it. I've been thinking about
Jalen
other
Waddle's for sale.
things.
Well, Paul, make some calls, man.
Shameless
I
plug,
do.
watch Rookie Week.
I
got
do.
Devo. I got Jalen Waddle.
Put some feelers out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to put some feelers out there. Problem is, you suckers, I can't trust, man, because you guys are like, I want your running backs, and no,
Look,
not going to give them up. So,
I just like to put it for the record. I gave you a
Yeah.
receiver. I'm just gonna let it be known.
You
I
did.
gave you a receiver.
you did, you
You
did.
gave him crap.
I gave you Tim Patrick.
But it's just one of those things. I'm going to have to go through and look. It's just, man, that was a good question. I just honestly have not thought about it because so many other things are going on. So, but that's
Well,
cool.
before-
I'll take a look
For
and
the
see.
draft, we'll take a look at it.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
I will say, Paul, you
We'll
could have
work
had
something
Cooper
out.
Cup,
I know.
and we talked about it, and you spat in my face. So
I did.
Good
I
day,
did. I
sir.
told you to suck it.
I
That
said
was it.
good day.
Yeah. I don't know. Honestly, looking at my wide receiver list, and I know a lot of them we haven't even talked about. Even though Higgins is going to take a drop, I still have, I'm taking a risk in saying that I've got some young guys. I'm hoping that Rondale will step up to some degree. He may not.
I think he'll be better in Arizona with D Hop being out.
Exactly. I'm hoping that Mecole Hardman will step up. But I
wouldn't
can't
hold your
say.
breath.
I know. But we'll see. See what
So
happens.
what
you
about
have,
what rookies? Hold on. What rookies are you looking at the number 10 pick?
Let's see. I don't
Shameless
know.
plug. If you haven't taken a look at it,
I know.
We have a
Ryan
whole
Ethan,
video on it.
we
Yeah.
have-
If you
Yeah.
need information,
I'll have to watch it.
yeah.
I'll have to
Yeah.
watch it.
watch our rookie video. Think about who you want at 10.
I will.
But you wanted to talk about one more round.
One more wide receiver. Mr. 26 down here, Christian Kirk, who's getting paid as a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL right now.
What a waste.
Trent
Waste.
Baalke, unbelievable.
Why?
I mean,
And
I see
I
Lawrence
just-
getting better.
Yeah, but I don't think it warrants paying this guy as a top 5 wide receiver.
Agreed.
Well, I agree. with that.
Agreed.
And he has not produced as a top 5 wide receiver, even a top 20 wide receiver in the last.
Well, I think he can be in a Tyler Lockett type role. And if he
Yeah.
plays like Tyler Lockett, that
Nope.
money is almost worth it.
He won't.
I don't think so.
I'm
No.
not very high on Christian Kirk, to be quite
Nope.
honest. It's also remains to be seen what that Jacksonville offense is going to be.
Yeah.
So
And I mean, with them having Marvin Jones and
I see Marvin Jones and Christian Kirk as risers.
ETN,
I would
all of them.
just like to bring it up within the top 30 receivers, he has the lowest points per game average.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
why that's also why I'm not high on him. It's
Absolutely.
he was super hit or miss. It was either
Yep.
30 points or 5 points. And I'm just not very high on it. And they gave him 72 million, which caused all the
Mhm.
stir. I think it's a wait and see, but he's not a person I'm going after.
Oh,
Yeah,
no, I'm
right.
not going after him. I wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole.
No.
Yeah.
Honestly, unless I get him for like
A bag of chips.
a third round pick or a 4th round pick,
Don't talk to me.
that's fine.
Don't send me an
But,
offer.
like,
Right.
I don't know if I give a third, to be honest with you, but that's me.
I think he's worth a third. Just
Out
they're
of
paying him for a
desperation.
reason. They're paying him for a reason, so he's probably going to have a pretty prominent role in that offense. Either that, or he's going to get cut this year. So,
he's going to get cut.
Because they don't want to
So-
pay him.
Well, and one more thing, Paul. I do have the 102, and you can get whatever wide receiver you want with the 102. So
You know
I don't
what?
know. Maybe there's an offer there that you can make.
Ooh.
Well, your mom's there. So
And trade you
Well.
3 third-rounders for your number 10 spot. That's about all the
I love
ammo
you
I
I
guys.
mean,
have.
you need a wide
Hey,
receiver.
I
I have the 102, Paul. I'm just saying.
Oh, there's going to be plenty of wide receivers at 10.
oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Is there?
All
Who's
right,
going to be at 10, Ryan?
hold on.
Tell
Let's-
him who's going to be
I
at 10.
don't know.
Exactly.
Okay. Who do you think's going to be at 10?
Who do I think is going to? Nobody. That's going to be a game changer.
Really? So
At
there's
10.
there's only 9 players.
9
in
game
the
changers?
entire draft
No,
that are going to be game changers.
So Ryan, let me tell you right now, when
What?
I started doing mock drafts for the rookies, and I've done about 10 of them so far, there has been a mid first round run on receivers to where
Yes.
if I'm Paul, I'm making calls to trade up.
But also, that's with a lot of more experienced people when it comes to Dynasty, and probably people
Right.
who know who they're drafting. So,
Right.
and honestly, I don't have faith in a lot of our people, and a lot of the people in our Dynasty league. So,
Alex, and
yeah.
we'll see.
No,
what
listen.
happens.
Alex is only going to take Kenny Pickett with the first overall
Yeah.
pick. I don't know why you're giving him crap.
No, he
He's gonna
honestly,
take
I
Drake
think
London.
he might.
Out of spite, he's going to
He's
take
gonna
it,
take
and I'm
Drake
going to get
London.
Brees Hall, and that means nothing to me.
And then he's going to trade. Yeah, he's going to trade Drake London for like a 3rd-round pick. or
Oh my
something.
god! If he does, it better be to me.
All the draft value. So yeah, I think we've talked about all the receivers we wanted to talk about.
Yeah, pretty much. I
Yeah.
mean, there's some stragglers, but
I mean,
Nothing
I don't think there's
notable.
anything else really worth mentioning.
yeah, I mean,
It-
Devonta Smith in Philly,
AJ Brown. I mean, both of them
Yeah.
in Philly. Where are we
AJ
thinking?
Brown. Yeah, so that's a
That's
big,
going to be an interesting pairing.
yeah, that's a big question mark.
Can
Honestly,
Atlanta
that's
crack the
kinda like a
top?
wait and see.
Can Atlanta crack the top 30 this season?
I think. I think
No.
Drake London may get the volume to make it.
No, Drake
Possible.
London will. Drake London will be in the top 25. I'll say.
But
Um,
Kyle Pitts.
No.
Kyle Pitts.
Here's the thing, though.
Yeah.
I want to bring this up. Sometimes addition is the best solution, and like for Amon-Ra St. Brown, it was when they added Josh Reynolds. So like he was not doing good at the beginning of the year at all, but you just grabbed one more guy to go on the outside who can get stuff done, and then that's how Amon-Ra St. Brown became such a late season hero.
Well, I mean, I think Drake London and Brian Edwards are going to be fantasy relevant.
I wouldn't say Brian Edwards, but Drake London.
Yeah, I wouldn't say
is
Brian
hot.
Edwards.
Um,
At least not very fantasy relevant.
I'm just sprinkling
I mean,
hot takes.
And I would
Maybe
even
top
say
40.
like Olave could be very interesting. If we're talking rookie receivers, Olave could be very interesting. Obviously, Christian Watson, we've talked about ad nauseum. But yeah, I think this is. I'm looking down. I'm like, man, top 35. There's quite a few that I like, and there's as far as receivers go.
Yeah, I think we're good. I think
So
we're good.
Gentlemen, it is now the time for Bust, Sleeper, and Lock. So now we're going to talk about all the receivers we kind of gone through 1 through 20, 25 and some change. And gentlemen, who is going to be your bust this year?
Keenan Allen. It's got to be.
Not my answer, but I knew someone would take him. So
Shoot. Honestly, I'm having trouble.
you want? I know my answer. You want me to go
Okay,
next?
okay. I got mine. Just because of all the hype going into the Browns,
Ooh.
like this year,
Oh,
I
that's
think
such-
Amari Cooper
Yeah,
is
I mean that's an easy
gonna
one.
be a bust.
That's such a pot shot.
Oh, I think it is.
Don't kick a dead horse.
Yeah, yeah.
That's an insult in itself.
Why you got to do Amari Cooper like that, man? He didn't deserve this. He was traded out of Dallas for absolutely no reason. And
are we going to be honest or are we going to be nice?
Wow.
So, all right, my bust, Hollywood Brown.
Wow. Even with D-Hop being out.
Yes.
And
because if there's anything I know as a Ravens fan is you saw exactly why Rashad Bateman was drafted, because Hollywood Brown can't be a number one receiver.
So you're predicting he's going to be lower than 21, or he's going to be higher than 21.
Lower than 21.
Interesting.
What do you think, Paul? Who's busting this year?
Perfect.
Man, I don't know, guys. I don't know. I
Take
really
a shot. Make it take.
Okay.
Be whoever you want.
I'll pick whoever I want. I'm just trying to look. I'm just looking at him, just thinking, man, nothing stands out to me, honestly, crazily, but okay. How about we just take a risk here and just say AJ Brown?
Ooh, even lower. Wow. And he was even hurt last year, so he's low on this list.
I don't know. I hope not, because I don't know.
Interesting take.
I don't know what's going to happen with Philly, because Philly's been really inconsistent the last 2 years. So I don't know.
All right. So that's everybody there. Who is your sleeper? Who is the person that you expect that's kind of low on the list, but expecting to do really good things this year?
Mine is DK for sure.
Yeah. I was going to say the same thing.
This is just for me. Jalen Waddle.
Okay.
I don't have a lot of faith in it, but
he's upset everyone.
But I really hope that he has kind of like an underdog season where because he's behind Tyreek, people are underestimating him. So
yeah,
I think he'll have a decent year, at least.
Guys, I have two options here. I'm gonna let you. Do I take the chalk answer or do I take my shot in the dark?
Just give him both.
Shot in the dark.
Just give him both.
Okay. My shot in the dark is DJ Moore. My chalk answer is CD Lamb.
Interesting.
So you think CD is going to drop off?
No. This is sleeper.
He's going to step up.
Sleeper. Gotcha.
Yeah.
I have to say I'm with Ethan. I think everything's pinning on DK this year, because if he doesn't step up, that team's going to tank.
Yeah.
So,
but then they'll get CJ Stroud. So, maybe not the worst thing in the world.
And they'll let CJ Stroud cook, but they'll never let Russ cook.
Yeah. And they'll have a whole rebuilt team for him to come into.
Yeah.
So,
alrighty, gentlemen, we have talked about our buzz. We've talked about our sleeper. Who is your lock? And I would say lock. Let's make it top 10.
Ooh.
Okay, who's a lock for top 10?
Well, you want to do top 5?
JJ.
Okay, I had Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
Ethan?
I say Cup and Diggs. Top 10.
Okay.
I think
let's pick two to be in the top 10. Let's pick
Jamar
two.
Chase. Then.
Okay.
Oh, okay. You take both.
Justin Jefferson.
I think Deontay Johnson and Devonta Adams. I'll just stick with the
really?
Ds.
You think Adams? All right.
Adams is a lock for top 10. Okay. It's Adams. I mean, come on.
Yeah, but it also makes you wonder, like, how much of that was his own skill and how much of that was Aaron Rodgers just dropping it in the right place.
Have you ever watched him play?
No, of course. But
if you've watched him play, then you know it's not Aaron Rodgers.
So when you have a Hall of Fame quarterback throwing to you, it has to account
for
some of your success.
Then Julio Jones is not a good wide receiver, and Matt Ryan made him, if you're going by that logic.
Okay, so here's
Because look what
one
he did
that
in Tennessee.
here's
must
one
have been
that
Matt Ryan.
No,
If
but
it's
he's
the Hall of
also-
Fame quarterback.
He's also older. He was also
Older doesn't mean
a lot
anything.
older, and he had the competition.
Devontae Adams is older, and
so
he's still doing it.
I'll say this as an extreme dark horse. What about OBJ being in the top 15?
15.
That'd be
It's
crazy.
possible,
No.
but I think more likely you're going to see top 20, 25, depending
Yeah.
on location, but
Because
also
he's missing a lot of time.
That would
too.
be
he tore
wild
his
if he
AC
pulled off top
yeah,
15.
Yeah.
the ACL tear is what.
He's missing the first couple of weeks at least.
True,
Yeah,
true.
mine,
Good point.
Mine have got to be Adams and Johnson.
Okay.
Man, I'll tell you, they're both of these dudes are going to be top 7 for me.
Hunter Renfro.
Renfro and Diggs.
Yeah.
I see Renfro as a dropper, but
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think he's going to make it much higher than that. He might
No.
jump up a slot or two, but
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't think he's going to.
I think Diggs has a better
think he's
chance
gonna
to
be
be
top
in
five.
the top 5, and then I think
Especially now with
Renfro could be
Devontae
7. Like
Yeah.
go up 2 spots.
But I don't think Renfro and Devontae Adams are going to be able to be in the top 10 together
Right.
because they're going to be leeching each other's targets.
I mean, why leech each other when you can leech Darren Waller?
That's
Yep.
true, but he also didn't really get a whole lot of targets anyway.
but Darren Waller's still good. You know,
Yeah,
he's still
yeah.
he's not going to lose his share.
I think Darren Waller may just get more touchdowns rather than getting 21 targets this year.
I could see that.
Yeah.
And like Brian Edwards is gone, so like you literally, your top 2 options are Adams and Renfro. And if Devontae Adams will do Devontae Adams things. I don't know if he'll be a wide receiver 3, but
Well, I'm not saying wide receiver 3, but top 10, yes.
yeah, I think both could legitimately be top 10. Like I think,
And I think Mike Williams could sneak past Evans into the top 10. Now, not
Ooh.
saying overtaking Mike Evans,
Mhm.
because I think he's going to have a really big beginning of the year, but in terms of sneaking into that 10 slot,
so. Mike Williams was the one I was debating on.
he would be like my in-between sleeper and lock, I would say.
Yeah, and I would even put CD in that category as well.
I would agree with that. But yeah, I mean,
don't
I
know.
think
I
that's
just have
it.
a feeling about Mike Williams.
I think that's wide receivers. But you never believe in Mike Williams. And then he puts up 40 points for me.
Oh, yeah. Never believe in Mike Williams because the last 4 seasons that he's done, he hasn't cracked like
Hey,
the
that's
top
okay.
20
He's
in
not
wide
on your
receivers.
team. He's on my team. And I believe in
And
Mike
this
Williams.
1 year that
I
he
believe in
cracks
Mike
the top
Williams.
20, he's like, amazing. He's the best
I
wide
didn't
receiver out
say
here.
I didn't say that. I'm just saying if you look at the situation with Keenan Allen getting there and what he's
Yeah.
done, it's worth
It's true.
mentioning. I'm
It's
not
true.
saying he's best wide receiver. I'm
It's
saying
true.
he could potentially sneak in if he keeps going on this
He has the
path.
skill. If he keeps going, yeah. If he improves.
But he has to
from
keep
last
going.
year. Yeah, I agree with that.
So, but I think that's wide receivers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is wide
That is wide
receivers.
receivers.
And I mean, we already told you it was going to be a long episode because each team has a weapon. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Unless you're Atlanta.
Actually, I'm upset about this, guys.
No,
Guys,
he's
can
not
I change my sleeper
No,
pick
no,
real quick?
it's wide receivers.
Hmm.
There's one person I want to bring up, and I'm going to change my sleeper pick here.
What?
Rashad Bateman.
Oh, he's a
Okay.
homer, everybody.
No, I'm not saying
Okay.
I'm not saying top 20, but if you can get a top 25 receiver along with probably a top 3 tight end, yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
right around Rashad Bateman this year. But I think he can be that sneaky good value just because it is Rashad Bateman and everyone else when it comes to receiver core.
Okay.
I get you.
But that's the episode.
Yeah.
We made it.
We made it. Thank you for coming along the journey with us. Thanks again to the big man, the champ, for coming
Yeah.
on.
The
and
big
talking.
man champ. Oh my lord.
The champ is back.
Champ
I need to
is
get a
back.
background video, the picture for it. I just need to have a big trophy back there.
Yeah.
You should.
Hey, which by the way,
Actually,
who's gonna engrave the trophy and send it to me to Germany?
Yeah. See, that's what we were actually.
Well, you're not
like,
going to have it
thinking.
at the end of the next
What if we
season, so it
hand-
doesn't really
What if
matter.
we
We were
hand
thinking of doing it like next season, getting an actual trophy.
We
but
should.
didn't do it.
What if
It's money. We got to get everybody on board.
I think it just needs to be a little pile of something.
What if we hand
Yeah, we'll
delivered
get you a
it
little
before the
turd.
NFL
We'll
draft?
get you a little
game?
turd trophy and say congrats, you did
We're
it for
gonna
once.
do like the toilet bowl trophy and the championship trophy. So the championship trophy can be engraved.
It'll be a toilet bowl
Yeah.
with the championship trophy coming out of it.
Oh no, it's
No.
just a
I like
just
that.
a turd. It's not even.
It's
a
just a
toilet bowl.
turd.
It's
It'll
Josh-
have
literally like
stink
the
line.
turd-
It'll have like stink lines
Yeah.
above it too.
It's literally just the turd, like the turd emoji.
It'll be engraved with
That's
"You
what
are
it
the
was.
worst."
It's
Yeah.
yeah.
But it's got to have those little eyes on it that wiggle when you move it. So that
Oh,
way it
little
has some
googly eyes?
animation.
Yeah.
So
I'd like putting googly eyes on a steaming turd.
I think we should. So seriously, the person who wins next year definitely needs to have say so in what the trophy is going to be. It needs to be cool too.
Okay.
Well,
That is true.
Yeah, it's going to be a trophy. It's not going to be something that we get every year. It's something that will be like
Passed around.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. We need to have some say so from the champion next year as well and get some buy. I think it'd be kind of fun, you know?
Okay.
I
Current
would
champ.
love to
Who's
do
going to be the champion at the end of next year? Make a hot take right now.
Tyler.
Well, we talked about that, didn't we? I think we talked about
Yeah.
that. Our
Well,
first
keep in mind, Tyler
podcast.
always chokes to me in the playoffs. So.
Nah, Tyler's going to suck this year.
Whoa!
Well, with this most recent trade that he did,
What a take!
What trade did he do? I didn't see it.
He
got
traded
Devontae.
Kamara for Devonta Adams and Leonard Fournette.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Who was the idiot that took that trade?
Jacob, Mr. Duran, Calvin Ridley's bankroll.
My gosh, why in the world did he do that?
I know. As soon as I saw it, I was like, "Oh my god!"
He was smoking
why?
something, Paul. Something that y'all can't have him drink.
Wow. I
Guys.
mean, Kamara, I could see 2 years ago. Kamara was a man, but now
Yeah, he's going to be
but
suspended.
he's going
this
to be
year.
suspended
Most likely.
because of
It's the-
off-field issues.
Yeah, it's the one suspension that no one's talking about largely because there's a bigger one happening at the moment.
I feel like that's going to be a bombshell in preseason. I feel like it's going to drop in preseason. Everyone's going to be like, "Oh crap, I forgot that was happening."
yep, you're absolutely right.
And
That's
then he's gone
exactly
for
what's
6
going to happen.
games.
Yep.
Yeah, I think 6
So-
games is what you're looking at. By the way, guys, what if we did a champion belt?
A champion.
Yeah. A belt?
Yeah, the belt.
I
That'd
would
be
love
cool.
to have a
I
belt.
would love that.
That would be cool.
It's
That would be
I want a
fun,
belt
man.
and a
It's
trophy and a
200
crown,
bucks.
so everyone
200
knows.
bucks. Everyone pitches in $20.
Let's do it. We could do that.
I'll talk
But,
to. I'll
Paul,
talk to
I want
yeah.
your prediction. Who is going to be the champ next year?
Man, it's not going to be Tyler. Guys, I honestly say it's going to be, I would say it's probably going to be between us four. Honestly.
Whoa.
That being
I'm
said,
counting myself out of that.
Okay.
I don't think I'm going to win this year.
I don't know. I think Ethan, you're going to give a run for the money.
Okay.
You know, if I remember
everything
correctly,
I did works out, yeah, I'll make it.
Yeah.
again, guys, like I said last year, or when we talked about this the first time, I think I could win it again if those two running backs do exactly what they did last year.
Which they're not predicted to do.
No, they're not. So if they did, it would be amazing. If they don't, well, then
All right, one more hard
mean,
question for you.
I
Paul.
would
Unless you
say
pick up a really
he's-
good
he's
wide receiver.
Yeah, you're one wide receiver away from being right back into the thick of things.
Yeah.
Right,
So
right.
let me ask you one more question, Paul. With that in mind,
Yeah.
you're on an 11-game win streak right now. How
Right.
long do you think
More
that's
than-
going to continue?
More than that, to be
More than
honest.
11.
With you. More than
He's
He
11.
won all the way
11.
through the.
Yeah, so he,
Yeah.
so he's
he
14.
lost the
he's
first 4
13.
games.
13 in a row because he went 13-4.
No, he's on a 10 right now.
Well, that's regular.
That was
season.
regular season.
If you count playoffs,
and
it's
then
13.
Oh, okay,
playoffs
so if you
is
count
another
playoffs,
3
it's 13.
games,
Okay.
or 2 games for him.
Okay, so he's 12-game winning streak.
what was your question again?
So how much longer do you think that's going to last, that win streak? What do you think you're going to get to before you finally lose?
Get to your mom's house before I
Oh.
finally lose. Anyways,
Isn't that like next month? There won't even be football
Yeah.
going on.
no, I think I'll probably 3 games before I lose.
Ooh.
3 games.
Okay, so he'll be on a
Alright.
16 win streak before he
Yeah.
finally loses.
Yeah.
Guys, I just
All right,
wanna
well, we will follow that storyline, and
that-
I will roast you
Either
if it
that-
happens before then.
I just want
Or you just plow through everyone next year all the way
Well,
to the championship.
I'll remember what I said last time. I forgot I said this, but I'm looking here and I mentioned that
Oh my god.
Ashley
No.
would be a contender.
Ashley
Dude, let's
would be-
do that.
Ashley's gonna
But it's
be a
got to have a
contender.
turd on it.
Oh
No.
It's got to have
Well,
a
no,
turd.
this is
No.
for the
Okay.
champion. This is for the champion.
This is for the
Oh,
champion.
Yeah.
Not the toilet bowl.
Okay. So what are we going to put as a champion?
I don't know. Wait, we'll have to figure.
Yeah,
that
we've
part
gotta
out.
have,
I just
like-
wanted to show everyone this.
That's cool. I like it.
I
We
would
got to
love
have
it.
a place to be able to, like, you know.
I want a trophy too. Like, I think a
Show
belt
somebody.
is fun too,
Yeah.
but I want a belt and a trophy.
Hey, look, champion can buy their own trophies. It aren't.
Yeah.
It's the belt.
Yeah.
No.
I think it ought to say on the belt, just suck it. And that way, that just says it all.
Suck it. I
That would be
win.
amazing.
That's right.
I would
yeah.
love that.
Honestly, Richter, man, there is no way that you can hug the basement again this year. You should,
No, I hope
you should
not.
be out of that. Kyler, I think Tyler will do well.
I think he'll lose to me in the playoffs again.
He probably will.
Yeah.
I probably won't even make it into the playoffs. That's my prediction.
I don't know.
Oh, that's a
No.
hot.
I think you'll do well.
you're crazy.
You came out of the
No.
gate hard,
I
dude.
don't have depth on my team. I don't.
I'm
don't
currently
have
looking
depth
up your
at-
team.
I don't
But
have
hey,
depth.
listen, that depth, as long as injuries don't happen and your bye weeks
That's
don't
why-
all play out
yeah.
hack on you.
And that's
Honestly-
why I was so lucky up until the last couple of games. Of
Yeah.
the
Well,
season.
you have
Yeah.
Singletary.
You have
Yeah.
Zach Moss. No, I'm just kidding.
That's it. Really.
Oh, God. Well, you have JD McKissick too.
That makes me mad
McKissick.
now that I gave you Singletary. That just
Yeah.
ticked me off that I should have never done that.
The only thing that sucks for you is
Gonna have
the
him
Chris
back?
Carson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Josh Jacobs will help you this year, and then you better hope Swifty stays around.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan, this year for you is just going to be about believing in your starters and
Here's-
picking up somebody on the waiver wire.
Here's
Believing in yourself.
Here's the thing.
Believe in
though,
yourself.
Here's the thing that I will say: if the divisions stay as is, ours is a gauntlet again, Ryan.
We'll see.
we
Yeah.
need to
We were-
realign.
we
Yeah.
were wanting
We're
to
gonna do a
realign it
realignment.
Yeah,
before-
I would very much appreciate.
We'll do that on draft day.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean,
we'll
the
wait for everybody
West.
to be present.
Oh, actually, the West is not going to be a gauntlet. It's going to be me and Tyler in the West.
Yeah,
yeah, and that's why we're
it's
changing.
a 2-horse race. Meanwhile, there's a 4-horse race in August.
Everyone but Michaela. Sorry, Michaela, we love you.
Yeah. You suck, Michaela. So
As you guys can all tell,
guys
it's
are
all
horrible.
love here at the league.
All love
We all love
That's
each
right.
other,
that's
Yeah.
right.
So I guess
except for the
we'll-
pastor. The pastor is the worst of all of us.
That's right. I'm a hater.
Yeah.
But he's bald, so it'd be
That's
all
right. That's right.
Let the man live. He's a Vikings fan.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
he's a Vikings
I know.
fan. There's
We're
more
the
things we
only-
could say about Paul, but I don't want
We're
to
the
roast
only
him
franchise
because we love him.
that hasn't won a Super Bowl in 60 years. That's
Atlanta
how
hasn't.
long. No, but Atlanta was created in what, the 80s? Because the
They're-
Vikings,
they're
were,
approaching-
the Vikings
They're
were are the
approaching
oldest
40 of their
franchise, the oldest franchise to never win a Super Bowl.
Hold on, looking it up. By the
'Cause
by the
they-
way,
they-
this should have been brought up in, if we ever did a news segment for
it
this.
was like
but
60 something years.
Uh,
since-
the red helmets are coming back. I couldn't be more excited.
Oh, for Atlanta? Oh my
Yes.
gosh, yeah.
Oh, it
They look
looks
so good.
It looks
They
so
look
Really?
so. They're coming out week 6 against San Francisco.
Wow. So they're going to bring back the old school, huh?
Yep, the
Yeah,
old
That's going to be
school.
awesome.
Or were those were from the 60s, weren't? No,
I think so.
80s or 90s.
was it the 80s?
The
Early
gold
90s.
stripe. I have to-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those were the 80s. And the black, it was the black,
black
black
jersey.
Falcon with the red helmet.
Yeah.
Yep. They're bringing it back for
Yeah,
San
because
Francisco.
I remember what's his name?
Well, hey, when we do realignment, just put Ryan in the West.
Yeah, let's just
No,
do that.
we're doing it by a certain.
Metric.
Yeah, we're doing it a certain way.
Atlanta
So like
was
whoever was
formed-
first
So
is
Paul.
in the West or whatever, like
So-
is in Division 1,
Right.
and then second is in Division 2,
So
third
that'd
is
be
in
me.
Division 1,
and then it would be
fourth,
I don't know
fifth,
who got
sixth,
there.
and all the way down. So like
I think was it Tyler that
we're
got
making
there?
sure to split it up.
Yes.
Hey, I would love for you to take Tyler away from me. Nothing would make me happier.
I would be.
Put Tyler and Paul together.
Yeah.
Because Tyler beats me in the regular season, then we get in the playoffs, and I just get my revenge.
Look, the MO of Tyler and Ryan, first round upset. So
Yeah, but Tyler's was more disappointing because he only scored 107 points.
yeah, week 15 was
That was a good one.
that was that was a
Meanwhile, me and
big
Paul
joke.
blew everyone out of the friggin' water. He scored 190. I scored
Well,
188.
he didn't have to worry about week 15. He had the bye week. Because that
Oh,
was
if that's
the
the
big
case,
thing.
I played Duran that week.
Yeah, that was
in
the
15.
big
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, because you smoked Duran. Ryan had to play Ashley. Ashley beat Ryan, and it's because
Barely.
Ryan
Yeah.
because Ryan forgot to start Dalvin Cook the week before.
Well, and I didn't
Whoever
have
watches
one
our videos
seed.
is gonna know this story like the back of their hand.
and
Yeah.
I didn't have Godwin then either.
Oh yeah, 'cause
Yeah,
Dalvin
if I
got
have
hurt.
Godwin, he wins.
Yeah,
So.
I can agree with.
was
Falcons
down quite a few.
1965.
And I think even
19
Swift,
that's what I thought. It was.
and I
the
think even
60s.
Swift was injured and was like coming back that week, and he wasn't used very
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, well, he was just hurt and not the same.
Yeah.
So, and then Pitts
But-
was.
So it was
Banter
a bunch of
aside, banter
Yeah.
aside. Thank you all for watching. Josh, give them our socials.
Yeah, so you can follow us on Facebook,
Socials.
Instagram, and Twitter, along with YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify as well. Just look up Last Place Fantasy Football Podcast, and you will find us there. We next week we're gonna have tight ends, which might be a rather short conversation. We'll also even look at the defense to see which one you want to take a look at. And then, guys, I mean, the NFL is fast approaching. Rookie draft is going to be here before
Less
you
than
know
100
it.
days.
Yeah, less than 100
Well, less-
days.
Yes, and we will be live streaming the draft too, which is
Yes,
exciting.
which is
Yep,
yeah,
and
our
that'll
rookie draft.
be sometime in the next month or so.
Yep,
Yeah.
sometime and then sometime
We're
soon.
trying for middle of June or middle of July. Sorry, middle of July.
Yep. And I mean, you're gonna see us all the time. We can't wait to show you what we got in store. Paul, thank you again for joining. It was awesome. to
Hey,
have
you bet,
on
guys.
the-
Thank you.
on
Thank
the
you
show
very much for
again.
joining us.
Enjoy going from first to
We-
worst.
Yeah, man. No, it's bedtime. I got to go to bed. It's 11 o'clock.
Woo.
All right, good night, Mr.
Yeah.
German.
Yeah.
We love you. Thanks for coming.
Hey, love you guys too. Thank you very much for the fun. It was cool.
Yep. And so I am Josh. That is Ryan. That is Ethan. Down there is the champ.
The champ.
The champ. And we will see y'all next week.
Later.
Cheers.